Hello. I got top 8 last weekend at the Fargo Regional playing Shining Sarcophagus. So this is my deck list. This is what I played and how I played it. So let's go over it. So starting off, we have 3 of the best card in the deck. Shining Sarcophagus. This is the lifeblood of the deck. All your cards don't do anything unless you have this card out on the field. When you activate it, it doesn't do anything. But on phase 1 of the field, you can activate its effect to search any card that mentions it, which is basically the entire archetype. So that's really good. And if your opponent's special summons a monster from graveyard, you can discard a spell to send it back to the graveyard. That effect doesn't really come up unless you have like extra spells in your hand. It comes up occasionally, not too often, but it is a thing that you might want to remember. Also play 3 of another starter, Future Silence. So Future Silence says to search any monster that mentions Shining Sarcophagus, which is also very good. And then if you activate it in the battle phase while you control a face-up Shining Sarcophagus, you each draw cards until you have 6, which matters for a certain other card in this deck. That gains levels depending on how many cards your opponent draws. And then for the final starter, playing Gadget Trio. When this card is normal summon, you can search Shining Sarcophagus or any spell and trap that mentions it. So up to and including Future Silence. It's good. Your main starter gets you to your main guy here, Shining Sarcophagus. Very good card, probably your best normal summon in the deck, only normal summon in the deck that does anything. When it's destroyed, you can set a trap card from your deck that I don't play, so I'm not going to talk about it. Probably the second spell, the most important spell you're going to search is Ties That Bind. You can activate this card while you control a Shining Sarcophagus and a monster that mentions Shining Sarcophagus. And you can special summon 2 level 4 or lower monsters that mention Shining Sarcophagus from your deck, which is pretty good. That's kind of like how you get your whole end board on the field, but it locks you out of the extra deck for the rest of the turn. So be wary of that. And the 2 monsters that you're usually going to summon are here. The 2 ofs, Silent Magician 0 and Silent Swordsman 0. So this one, it's a spell negate while you control Shining Sarcophagus. And every time your opponent draws a card, you gain a level. And every time you gain a level, you gain 500 attack. Swordsman lets you negate an opponent's monster's effect that targets either Shining Sarcophagus or a monster you control that mentions it. Also, every standby phase it gains attack, or every standby phase it gains level and 500 attack for every level, just like Magician. And then if you already have, so basically if you have one of these guys, these first 3, you can get this whole board up on the field, which is pretty good. But if you have 2 of them, you have an extra search you want to do, you can search for Turn Silence. Turn Silence, it increases the monster's level by 3. And then if you chain it to a monster effect, while you control Shining Sarcophagus and a monster that mentions it, it negates the monster effect, which is pretty good. It's because it negates from anywhere, negates from hand, graveyard, field, any effect, anywhere. So it kind of reminds me of like Orange Light or something. It's really good. And then also it's a secret graveyard effect that's really good against Tempai, where if your opponent monster attacks a monster that mentions Shining Sarcophagus, you can banish this card from your graveyard in damage calculation to end the battle phase. Really kills Tempai. Dragon, which is pretty good. I know deck's pretty popular nowadays. Another card that kind of stops Tempai, more Marshmallow. It's an extra search target if you already have everything else you need. And then while this card is faithful on the field, it can't be destroyed by battle. And then your opponent can only attack this monster, and then during your opponent's turn you can special summon it if you control Shining Sarcophagus. And then if it gets destroyed by a card effect, you can special summon another one out of your hand, deck, graveyard, or banish, which is good if you're playing more than one. I wouldn't really recommend playing more than one, or even this one really didn't really come up in my tournament run at all. But, so basically what you're trying to do is set up your board, set up these 2 guys with this for protection, kind of protect yourself for the turn for this, for your turn 1. And then turn 2, you summon the boy. 2 of Gandora G, the Destruction Dragon. Dragon of Destruction? Dragon of Destruction. This guy, you can special summon him if you control Shining Sarcophagus. And if you do, you can pay, and an negation effect, you can pay half your life points, destroy and banish everything on the field, and special summon one of your level 4 or lower Shining monster dimension Shining Sarcophagus from your deck. And it gains level equal to the number of cards destroyed. So basically, you turn 3, you kind of negate your opponent's board, hopefully stop their plays, you live a turn, search this guy, blow up their field, hopefully destroy a bunch of monsters, especially one of these. It gains a bunch of levels, which means it gains a bunch of attack directly, and you kill them. So that's sort of like the main game plan of the deck. As you can see, the engine itself is pretty small for the main deck. It's only 20 cards. I would play more cards if there were more cards to play, but it's kind of like all you really need. I tried to play the deck as pure as possible. You can obviously cut some of these ratios if you're playing other engines, like you only play like maybe 1 and 1 and one of these if you really feel like it. But definitely for sure 3/3 and 3 of the Future Silence. But that is it for the Shining Sarcophagus part of the deck. Let's start with the hand traps. 3 Ash, of course, 3 Imperm, and 3 Shifter. I don't like Shifter as much as the next guy, but this deck does not touch its graveyard at all. I'm sure you noticed as I went over all the cards, there's something that recurs from grave, and there's something that activates in your graveyard as well. So Shifter doesn't necessarily help you out very much, but it doesn't hurt you at all, but it hurts the meta decks a lot more. And of course, Ash and Imperm is probably the best hand traps right now. So that's why I play those. And then for 3 Prosperity, just to search out your 1-card starters. I've seen people play Extra instead of Prosperity, but I definitely like Prosperity a lot more because you want to dig deeper to find the 1-card starters, because you find Gadget Trio, Future Silence, or the Shining Sarcophagus that gets you to your whole combo. So you really only need the 1 good card instead of 2 random cards. So I pick that. And then for some other stuff, 2 Dim Fissure, 2 Call Blight. Like I said, really none of your monsters have any effect in grave. The only effect you have in grave is the turn silence to banish itself to end the battle phase. And this card, if you activate it going first, it stops Veiler, it stops Droll, and it stops Ogre, which is kind of important for the deck. Droll really hurts, and I know a lot of people playing Veiler right now because it's like the 3rd or 4th best hand trap. So killing out a lot of those is really good. They should probably be playing 3 of these. I only had 2 at the time. That's why I supplemented it with a Call Blight. Call Blight came up a little bit, so you could definitely cut this for the 3rd Dim Fissure, or cut the Marshmallow, which is another option. And then lastly, 3 Super Poly to break some boards, and 2 Triple Attack for that as well. The Extract is pretty loose in this deck. You get locked out of your Extract a lot of the time, so you really don't need to do it very often. So Super Poly is good for that. Helps you break boards, and specifically cards that can't be destroyed by card effects that are annoying to get in order to get out. And Triple Attack is crazy against Appaloosa, crazy against Snake Eyes. One of the games, my opponent had Appaloosa, and they activated the effect of their Flamberge in main phase, so I just stole their Appo and they couldn't do anything and I killed them. So that is 20 for the engine, 20 for the non-engine, so 40 total. Ran pretty well. Go over the extra real quick. Like I said, the extract isn't really too important. Borg, Nightmare, Phoenix, 4 of the Charmers that I can summon. Selene, because Magician's a spellcaster, so if you make any of these, you steal one of your opponent's cards, make Selene. Summon your guy back so you can make Access Code, or you can also make Unicorn, which is also helpful. Phoenix Unicorn, helpful against stun matchups. Try to get rid of their Floodgate back rows, always annoying to deal with. Typhon, Zeus. Zeus is there in case I steal and exceeds, which never happened, so you definitely cut this for like an SP or something. I don't have SP because I'm fucking broke, but I did have the Zeus, so definitely play SP over Zeus, so I would recommend that. And then for the Super Poly targets, of course, the good ones. This one's good against Snake Eyes, or any deck that makes IP Appo, because it's a Link monster plus a Cyberse monster. So IP is a Cyberse, Appo's a Link, get rid of those. And then one of these for the Yubel matchup, which I never played against, so I really don't know how it does against that. But I'm sure it does well if they try to use a trap to Super Poly your board, and you can Super Poly them back, which I think would be funny. That's all for the extra deck. It's pretty loose. You can mess around with it as much as you want. Nothing too serious there. And then for the side, nothing too crazy. 3 nibs against rogue decks. I like to special summon a bunch. I can't put up on these. Cross out, crazy card going second. Stops those ashes, those imperms. Because if you only have the 1 starter and you try to go off and they stop it, you can't really do anything else. The deck's kind of lacking extenders. Because there's only really 9 play starters and 9 extenders. So if one of those gets stopped and you don't have the rest of them, it kind of sucks. Droplets is cool too. Helps me break boards. Again, lets me out stuff that can't be destroyed by card effects that won't that can stop the Gandora. Also calling cross out for the droplet, crazy good. Did that once today, felt great. And then also mostly for cross out target spells because they're kind of good. Cosmic, Duster, and Lightning Storm. Cosmic came up a couple times against some stun matchups and against Fire King Snake Eye and Snake Eye in general. Pretty good. And Duster Storm going second against anything with back row. Always nice. Also, cross out calling these two going first is also pretty good against your opponent. And then a couple extra floodgates. Soul Drain. It's like skill drain except for the graveyard and banished. So monster effects can be activated in the graveyard or banished. Kind of conflicts with Dim Fissure. I one time drew them both and they kind of conflicted with each other. So you could definitely not play this. Also reason, because I didn't have the third Fissure. The reason why I played that. And then there can be only one. All your guys in your main deck are different types. Doesn't affect you at all. Really good against Tempai, really good against U-Bell. Decent against Fire King Snake Eye, or just Snake Eye. Because they play like the spellcasters and the pyros and the dragons and stuff. But that is the deck profile. I think it did pretty well. I went 5-2. My only 2 losses were against Snake Eyes Pure. And both those losses I felt I could have won. I definitely could have played better. Even though I did get top 8, I feel like I could have got top 4 if I would have played better, but I feel like that's always the case. And then I think that's gonna be it for me. Any shout outs to the Minot area, local Yu-Gi-Oh scene, shout outs to the Fargo Yu-Gi-Oh scene, really all of North Dakota Yu-Gi-Oh scene. So if you do play Yu-Gi-Oh in the North Dakota area, there's always local you can find. And shout out to the homie in Minot helped me play test this deck. It's not the best deck, it's not really a meta deck, I don't think anyway. But it's played pretty well for me. I did really well, and I'm happy about it. And then shout out to the channel that this is being posted on. Hakuna Maidata for reaching out to me for getting this deck list. Or for asking for this deck list, because I really like this deck and I hope to explain it more. And then if you guys in the comments have anything you want to add or anything you want to mention, anything you'd like to change or talk about the deck at all, I'll be in the comments of this video, hopefully trying to talk about this. And then if you want to talk to me directly, my tag is TriStar2500 on Twitter. At me, DM me there. And if I don't like you, I can block you. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you like the deck. Peace out.